Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. Week 2 kickoff is like tomorrow morning, and I have 5 players that are projected to play at under 5% in tournaments. These are the 5 players that I think you can interject into your lineups to give you the best chance at finishing at the top. You have to get players that the people aren't on. We want to travel off the beaten path when it comes to tournaments. In cash games, there's no reason to fade anybody. This guy's going to be 50% played in cash games. Great, that's who I want to play. But in tournaments, you have to get differentiation. You have to play players that other players are not focusing on. If you find that a running back is like 25% in tournaments and there's somebody else that's a point or two lower on optimal or ceiling, but they're coming in at 20 or 30% less than that super stud focused everybody on them player, that's the guy that you want to play in tournaments. So I'm going to go over 5 of them: 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and 1 tight end to try and help you win a tournament this weekend on DraftKings. Let's go.
He's a legend.
The Smiz Gang Listener League, 4,000 entrants, 2,500 of y'all are already in this one. I think that we're going to fill this one a little bit earlier than last week. It's $10 to enter. It is 3 max. Make sure that you get your spots in this one. I will shout out the winners on the recap video on the Fantasy Football channel. Link is down below in the links, as well as the link to this Listener League. Everything is available for you at smizzle.tv/links. You can find the Listener League, the Discord. Make sure that you get in there. Channel members here on the main channel get access to private rooms in the Discord to communicate with all of our Twitch subs, YouTube channel members, everybody else, so that you can have a community of people to discuss daily fantasy with. Everything is in the link tree. Smizzle.tv/links. Join the Listener League so that you can be a part of all of it. My top player on this, well, my first player. The first player on the list of our 5 under 5 this week is Nick Chubb. He comes in right at 5%. So, like, please, if your projection site has Nick Chubb at like 5.4%, give me a little bit of leeway. I'm never really a fan of playing Nick Chubb in cash games. I know he can have big games, but the floor to ceiling ratio for him is massive. Like, he can realistically get you like 85 rushing yards, no catches, and not score a touchdown and get you like 8 points, as opposed to a pass catching running back who could get you like 4 catches, run for 40, catch for 45, and have 12.5. So, like, I'd rather invest in cash games on guys that have ability in the pass, or usability, utility in their team's pass game offense. But in terms of ceiling, Nick Chubb is as good as anybody. All the Saquon Barkleys, the CMCs, the Jonathan Taylors. We've seen slate breaking ability from Nick Chubb. He's only at 7,100 and has a ridiculously great matchup against the New York footballing Jets. He's at 5% across 3 different sites. So he is going to be in this video today for that reason. If everybody's going to be on the very specific cash game plays, namely Henderson, Barkley, and others of that ilk, give me Nick Chubb, who has the exact same ceiling possibility, while obviously having a much lower floor than those players. Because in tournaments, I don't care about median. I don't care about just eking into the cash. We're not trying to finish 10,000th. We're trying to finish in the top 10. And the way to do that is you got to get out of your comfort zone a little bit. Success is never comfortable. So find ways to these lower played players that have massive ceilings, like Nick Chubb. Also, very similar to Nick Chubb, but might be becoming a little bit different, is Damien Harris. 5,500 this week, 200 below the very popular Darrell Henderson Jr. So you can get different at a very similar price point, which is not going to change the rest of your lineup. Both of these running backs, considering that they're priced basically at the same point as some much chalkier running backs, allows you to get different at the same price point, so you don't have to change the rest of your lineup. Perfect if you're playing leagues or 100-man games. And he's coming in at like 2.7% due to the injuries in this Patriots backfield. You guys know that it's been Ramondre Stevenson for me all year long during drafts, but like in week 1, and again, I'm going to caution you, we have to be careful not to overreact to week 1. It's just 1 week, but it's all that we have. We will adjust as we get more data. But right now, with the data we have through 1 full game, Damien Harris played on more pass situations, ran more routes, and got more targets than Ramondre Stevenson. If he's going to get the majority of the goal line touches, the inside the 5 carries, if he's going to get a good chunk in the passing game, and by good chunk, 3 targets for Damien Harris is a damn good chunk in the passing game, and that's what he got last week. With Ty Montgomery possibly out today or on Sunday, we have a situation where maybe he gets a little bit more usage. maybe he sees 3 to 5 targets. That's more than enough for Damien Harris to be viable on DraftKings, and at 5,500 pivots us off of the chalk at 2.7% projectable against a Pittsburgh defense that just lost its all-world TJ Watt on the defensive line. This is a great spot for Damien Harris in tournaments. And look, here's the other thing. People love to do this literally every week on this video. After lineups lock, they come back and say, these picks weren't great. They're under 5% for a reason. We're getting out on a limb here. We're taking chances because, again, we don't care about floor. We only care about the possibility that Damien Harris has to get a 20 to 30 point DraftKings day, that Nick Chubb has to get a 25 plus DraftKings day. And the percentage of those two things happening is greater than the percentage of people who are going to be playing them. We're trying to raise $50,000 from the community for No Kid Hungry this season. Last year, you guys were amazing. You raised $35,000, and we raised $100,000 as a community. We're shooting for $100,000 again. Right down below, we just got a $100 donation from Jim Steele during the stream here on Twitch. You guys can make stuff happen every single day. Every dollar matters. If you got $1, if you got $5, go to smizzle.tv/charity. That link is also in the link tree, smizzle.tv/links. No Kid Hungry is providing school breakfasts and school lunches to food insecure kids all across America. We play this really silly DFS game. We have enough money to spend on lineups. We're trying to win tons of money. You could throw $1, $5, $20 so that some kids somewhere in America don't have to worry about where their next meal is coming from. You can make a difference. Be a part of something that's bigger than yourself. Zay Jones making his debut. I probably have never thought about playing just Zay Jones until like this year. 4,300 projects at 2.8% against Indy. This game could be more offensive fireworks than people are willing to admit. It's kind of sneaky for tournaments, as is indicated by the percentage projected on him. A lot of people are going to flock towards Christian Kirk. He's the main guy in this offense. He's going to get the lion's share of the targets. But Zay Jones got 9 in week 1, including 3 end zone targets. Did not capitalize on any of them. If he had scored a touchdown, Zay Jones would not be projected at 2.8 this week. He'd be basically chalk at 4,300. So if you're one of those guys who wants to wait and see, we've already seen through preseason on all of the snaps that he played with Trevor Lawrence and through camp practices that Zay Jones was kind of Trevor Lawrence's safety blanket. He looks to him whenever he's scrambling. He looks to him secondarily in terms of target market share behind Christian Kirk. And when they get close, he goes to him as well. So I think that this is a much safer spot at 4,300 than the 2.8 percentage projection would symbolize. And we have touchdown upside as well, as signified by those 3 end zone targets that he got last week. I love Zay Jones this week in tournaments, especially if that percentage stays low. My next wide receiver is JAYLEN Waddle. Tyreek Hill is probably going to be somewhat popular. He projects at like 15%, but JAYLEN Waddle projecting at 4.2% in tournaments this weekend. Baltimore's defense is a mash unit right now, specifically in their defensive secondary. Three of their top cornerbacks, not like 3 of the top 5, like numbers 1, 2, and 3 on their depth chart. Number 1, lost for the season last weekend. Number 2 and 3 missed Friday's practice. If they don't start guys, if they end up suiting up cornerbacks who are selling cars on Thursday to play against JAYLEN Waddle and Tyreek Hill, it's gonna be a problem. So if everybody's going to go to Tyreek Hill, we can get leverage off of Tyreek Hill at 6,400, going with JAYLEN Waddle, who saw 5 targets in week 1 and scooted 42 yards for a touchdown on one of them. We know that McDaniel's going to do a good job getting everybody involved on offense and finding ways, inventive ways, to get these players the ball in space where they can win. JAYLEN Waddle has a lot of areas where he can win, and will never see double coverage with all of that attention going to Tyreek on the other side. Love him at 4.2%. So why don't we go over to Underdog Fantasy? If you do not have an account already, you can use promo code ALSMIZZLE. That's one word, ALSMIZZLE, and get up to a $100 deposit match on your first deposit to the site. I'm going to play a little bit of an over here. We got highers and lowers. Let's just say higher than 57 receiving yards. Should we go 57 receiving yards or 12 fantasy points? Nah, that's going to require a touchdown. Let's just say 57.5 receiving yards. Let's go over based on Tua having all of this injuries that he's going to be dealing with. Let's go higher than 250. Now let's go higher than that. You can only pick one per player. Now I got to pick somebody from another team. My favorite quarterback thing on these higher and lowers on underdog is the total yards. This includes rushing and passing yards. It's at 289.5. I'm going to go higher than 289.5 on JAYLEN, WADDLE, Tua, and Lamar Jackson. Unders are sharper, obviously. I'm going to do this one with insurance. Nah, I'm not going to do insurance because why? I mean, I could. I'll do that when I get on the 4s and 5s.
He's a legend.
CB Fry, thank you for the 13 months. Let's submit this, confirm, and I'll get you to the last player. There's our hires. We like overs here. We don't like rooting for punts and field goal. Dalton Schultz is projecting under 5%. Now, look, I know they're not playing with Dak. This offense is not going to be as good, but they do project to play from behind. And in the one start that Cooper Rush made last year, Dalton Schultz did see 7 targets. You're going to have to pay up to get him here at 5,200 on a week where everybody's going to pay down at tight end. So you're paying up a little bit to be contrarian. I don't mind him as a secondary stack with like Jamar Chase, Dalton Schultz, or if you're double stacking or stacking with Joe Burrow at quarterback, using Schultz as a bring back play, he's going to be cheap. He's not going to be cheap in terms of price. He's going to be cheap in terms of percentage. Nobody's going to be on him because they're not buying into Cooper Rush, and he's more expensive than what is the optimal for you to pay for. It'll make you different in 2 ways in your lineups. So Dalton Schultz, a solid floor of targets. We'd have to hope that he scurries his way into the painted area and gets us 6, but he can pay off this on yardage and targets alone. Thank you guys for watching. Look out for another video right there.
He's a legend.